How did Cody Ware qualify 11th? Delta 12, where racing and gaming join forces for your entertainment. I didn't expect this race to be quite as significant as it was, and while it did start to fizzle out a little bit in the second stage, it quickly picked up the pace again once the third stage hit. To start things off, this is the final race at Fontana on the 2-mile track. They're going to be basically tearing it down and making a short track nearby that, once it's built, NASCAR will race on for the foreseeable future. Additionally, this is Kevin Harvick's 750th consecutive start, and he did remarkably well, battling in the lead lane, ultimately finishing 5th. Corey LaJoie pretty much ran him somewhere between 10th and 15th, kind of all day, ended up getting a 14th place finish, never really went anywhere major. And as I mentioned before, Cody Ware started 11th in a Rick Ware car. In the Daytona 500, I mentioned how Rick Ware Racing basically only needs the right driver to start getting into contention, and then out of the blue this happens. Though it didn't amount to much, as Cody Ware ended up dropping out of the top 30 in just a couple dozen laps, that 11th place starting position can't be taken away from him. Hi, Editor Ace Delta 12 here. Turns out there wasn't any practice or qualifying sessions due to rain. So basically, the starting positions were, according to what I found out, set by performance metrics based on last week's season opener at Daytona, a formula that factors drivers' fastest lap time position, drivers' final race position, owner's final race position, and owner's points position. So basically, the Daytona 500 determined this race's starting grid, and since everyone was wiped out in the 500 in those 3 big ones, this allowed Cody Ware to get a good enough position at the end of that race to wind up with his stats putting him in 11th starting place for this race. That went on way too long. Let's get back to the actual video now. Kyle Larson had an issue with his engine pretty early on, but since he wasn't crashed out and therefore wasn't on the damaged vehicle policy clock, he was able to bring it back to the garage, get it fixed up, and come back on the track 16 laps down. Later on, Brad Keselowski spun, and Kyle Busch and Daniel Suarez both sped on pit road in subsequent cautions. Ryan Blaney's crew ended up somehow getting the hose of the air gun stuck under one of the wheels, so that cost him some extra time on pit road, and Ross Chastain took the win in Stage 1. Stage 2 was a little bit less eventful. Martin Truex Jr. lost a tire and served a 2-lap penalty, as well as having a couple of crew members get ejected for 1 or 2 races. I don't remember that clearly. At one point, Joey Logano decided not to fire off properly on a restart and caused the entire lane behind him to check up and accordion into each other, causing basically the big one.
Nice job, dumbass!
Ross Chastain went on to sweep the stages for the first time in his still young career. Somewhere in the first third of the stage, Ty Dillon spun out and brought up the caution. After that, it got pretty stable. Chastain and Kyle Busch battled for the lead late. Bubba Wallace started to have his car go up in smoke and managed to get down in pit road without a caution. Michael McDowell managed to survive on old tires for way longer than I expected. Brad Keselowski scraped the wall but was able to continue without checking up, which resulted in no caution, thank goodness, because at the end of the day, Kyle Busch picked up the win, securing the 2023 season as his 19th consecutive season with a win, which is now an all-time record. Overall, today was your typical NASCAR race with a little bit of mayhem here and there. Not as exciting as the Daytona 500, but certainly not the most boring thing in the sport. And so that is going to do it for this week's race review of the final race of the 2-mile Auto Club Speedway. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please leave a like on it. And if you want to see the rest of the race recaps of this season, as well as some gaming content here and there, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss an upload. Take care, y'all. Ace Delta 12 out.
Break through it all and all the